Hi there everyone, Master Your Maths from Mr. Murphy's sitting room, playroom, junk room, whatever you're going to call it I suppose. Week 22 and we're looking at Thursday's test, okay? So we'll go straight into it here. So, Thursday, number 1, and we've all our answers here on the board. So we have 5 and 5/100ths of a metre plus 1 metre and 3 centimetres, and we're going to try and do these now as much as we can in our heads, because these ones are the, mental maths between numbers 1 and 12. So let's try and do as much in our heads as we can. So I know 5 and 1 is 6, that's 6 metres, and then let's add the fraction part where you have your 5/100ths of a metre, that's 5 centimetres, and on the other side you have 3 centimetres, so that gives you 8 centimetres. So your answer there is 6 metres and 8 centimetres. Question 2, 3 1/5 hours in minutes. Well, I know that 3 hours is the same as 180 minutes because 60 multiplied by 3 is 180. 1/5 of an hour. How do I find 1/5 of an hour? Well, you all know at this stage how to find the fraction of a number. So what's 1/5 of 60? So when you divide 5 into 60, you get 12. So you now know that 1/5 of an hour is 12 minutes. And then you simply add the 180 to your 12 and your answer is 192 minutes. Question 3, 83 divided by 9, simple division here. So how many 9s go into 83? 9 goes into 83 here 9 times and you get 81, and then you must find a remainder. Well, if you landed on 81 and you're trying to get to 83, that means you have a remainder of 2. So your answer there is 9 remainder 2. Question 4 is next. How many centimetres are in 2 9/10 metres? Well, first of all, you know that 2 metres is the same as 200 centimetres. You should know that 9/10 of a metre is 90 centimetres, and that gives you a grand total of 290 centimetres for question 4, 290. Question 5, circle the odd one out. We have 3/4, 6/8, 2/3 and 9/12. And if you look closely at each of the fractions, you will see that 3/4 is the first one, but 6/8 is the same as 3/4. Okay, if you simplify it. Okay, so 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 8 4 times, so that's 3/4. 2/3, you can't simplify it anymore, but look at 9/12. What's the common denominator in 9/12? Well, you can divide 3 into 9 3 times, and 3 goes into 12 4 times, so that's also worth 3/4 as well. So they're all worth 3/4 apart from 2/3. 2/3 is the odd one out. Question 6, 1,250 grams. How would you write it in kilograms? So you would write it as a decimal. As you know, there's 1,000 grams in a kilogram, so the answer would be 1.25 kg, or if you want, you can say 1.250 kg, it's the same thing. 1.25 kg. Okay. Moving on to question 7, how long is it from 3:57 until 5:25? We're going to try doing this in our heads now as well. You could, if you want, do a subtraction sum out. And if you did that, look, that's fine. But as I say, we're going to try and do it in our heads. So let's try and get the hour first of all anyway. See, the big amounts in time are the hours, right? So if I am on 3:57, I know there's a gap anyway of 3 minutes up to 4 o'clock. So we're going to keep that 3 minutes in our heads. Let's go then from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So we know that between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, that's your full hour. Okay? Now, between 5 o'clock and 5:25, well, that's easy. That's 25 minutes. And then just go back to those 3 minutes that you kept from earlier. 25 plus 3 is 28. So there's your 28 minutes. So the gap between 3:57 and 5:25 is 1 hour and 28 minutes. You could have done out a subtraction sum. You would have had 5:25, take away 3:57, and you would have gotten 128 there as well. Question 8 we're on to now. Write 10 1/100th as a decimal. So 10 is your whole number. So that's going to be on the left side of the decimal point. And 100th is written as 0.01. Okay, so you end up with 10.01. 10.01. Question 9, what is 0.25 of 120? Well, as you know, 0.25 is 25 hundredths, and that's the same as saying a quarter. So basically it's as if you're saying 1/4 of 120. How do I find a quarter of 120? Well, you all know your fraction rule by now. How do you find the fraction of a number? Divide by the bottom and multiply by the top, or divide by the denominator. So here I did out the sum for you, and when you divide 4 into 120, you get 30. So 30 is your answer there for number 9. And number 10 is the next one here. I spent 0.7 and 0.05 of my money. What decimal was left? Well, when you add 0.7 and when you add it to 0.05, you get 0.75. So if you spent 0.75, it's always out of 100. So you know that you have 0.25 left. Okay? 0.25 left there. Okay, let's keep going here. So we're on to number 11. And number 11, share 49 cents along 7 people, and you must write the number sentence. So when you're sharing, as you know, it's division. So it's going to be a division sentence. So you're going to have 49 cents divided by 7. And the answer, of course, from your tables, how many 7s go into 49? Well, it's 7 times, so the answer there is 7 cents. Question 12, I think this came up before. What is this a net of? Well, you can see clearly that it's a cube. Okay, you have 6 sides on your 3D shape, and that would make a perfect cube. Okay, the welly throwing competition here. In the welly throw competition on sports day in our school, Kate tossed her welly 24.78 metres, Jane tossed her boot 22.57 metres, and Jack tossed his welly 4.38 metres further than Jane. Okay, that's important there for that you just pay attention to what Jack, his distance was 4.38 further than Jane. Okay, it's not that he threw it 4.38. Okay, question 13. I have it made out here for you. You can see I have the answer, the name of the person who threw it the furthest. Question 13, who won the welly throw competition? Well, it was Jack. So how did I find out that was Jack? Well, you needed to see what Jack's distance was anyway, because you didn't get a clear distance for him. So they told us that Jack's welly was tossed 4.38 metres further than Jane. So if you add the 4.38 to Jane's throw, and you can see that Jane's throw was 22.57, you end up with 26.95 for Jack. So clearly Jack was the winner because he has the longest throw. And there's another part of that question. It says by how much? By how much did he win by? So if we want to know how much did he win by, well, we must find who came closest to Jack. Okay, who was the next best to Jack? And of course you can see there that it was Kate. Kate was 24.78. So if we want to know by how far somebody wins something by, then you must find the difference between their time and the previous time of the other person. So of course to find the difference you subtract. And when I subtracted, there's the sum, you can check it on your own copy there, you ended up with 2.17 metres. So he won the race by 2.17. That was the difference between Jack and Kate. Okay. Question 14 is here, written down for you. I have the sum here. What was the total distance covered by all 3 welly throws? And I don't think I have to go through that with you. The sum is there. You just had to add up all 3 distances and you ended up with a grand total of 74.3 metres. 74.3 or 74.30, it's the same thing. Alright, easy. Total distance means add. Question 15 is here. What was the difference in length between the longest throw and the shortest throw? So again, there's that word difference. Whenever you're asked to find the difference in maths, it usually means subtract, because you're finding the gap, the difference between two things. So we better find the difference now between the longest throw, and the longest throw, of course, was Jack. Jack was 26.95, and we must subtract then from that Jane, because Jane had the shortest throw. Jane's there was 22.57. So the gap between the two of those, as you can see, was 4.38 meters. 4.38. Okay, that's number 15. Number 16 is the last one then. It says how much less than 30 meters was the best welly throw. So in other words, how much less than 30 was Jack's throw. Okay, now you know from going back into your sums that Jack's throw was the best. It was 26.95. So we've got to subtract now here 30. Now we must write 30 as a decimal, 30.00 to make it clear. Take away 26.95. And I'm going to do it here with you. I didn't do this one earlier because I know sometimes people get confused with all these zeros here, but it's really easy. So look, let's do the steps. 0 take 5, I cannot do. Go next door, there's nobody home. Go next door again, there's nobody home. So I'm going to have to rename the 3 here. I change it to a 2, bring over the 1, and take a breather. Start again. 0.5, I cannot do. Go next door, there's nobody home. Go next door again, there is someone home. Right? It's 10. 10 becomes 9. Bring over the 1, because you're taking the 1 out of that. And we start all over again then. 0 take 5, I still can't do. Go next door, there's 10 there. 10 becomes 9, I rename it. Bring over the 1. Okay, so you've renamed all your top line there now. Okay, and just follow those steps for that. So we should be in the clear here now. So 10 take 5 is of course 5. 9 take away 9 is 0. 9 take away 6 is 3. And 2 take away 2 is 0. I don't have to put anything in there. Alright, and just don't forget to put in your meters. So how much less than 30 meters was the best welly throw? Jack's throw. The answer there was 3.05 meters. Okay,